So what's red and happens in October?
Loki.
Sure.
We just saw Crimson Peak.
So, well, here's my initial thoughts. I'll do mine and then you can do yours. Going into it, I was expecting it to be a horror movie, just flat out, straight up, like, scary stuff.
It's Del Toro.
Like, who's I'm a ghost.
Narrated by Morgan Freeman. I know it sounds like a cat poster, but it's true.
But, actually, I ended up liking it better as a mystery than I did a horror movie, because I kind of predicted a lot of things that would happen.
Again, that's his style. Del Toro's style. Same thing happened with Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. I thought that was going to be like one of the scariest movies of all time. If you don't believe me, check out the trailer. That trailer is notorious for that jump scare. But it was a mystery. So, I don't know. I guess that's his thing, and that's fine, but...
Which, I might add, he would have been perfect for Silent Hills, because that's the whole thing, is that it's all a big mystery in Silent Hill, but I digress. I'm still ticked off about that.
So, anyway, what's the story? This young woman, falls in love with Tom Hiddleston, okay, his name is Thomas, but you might as well call him Tom Hiddleston, because he's Loki. And then her father... kind of spoilers, he mysteriously dies, and she has nowhere else to go, so she decides to live with Thomas in a house that is on Crimson Peak. And ever so slowly, the house is sinking because it's sitting on top of clay. Red clay, to be exact. And he also lives with his sister, and weird stuff starts to happen.
Not just in the house, but with the siblings as well.
Yeah, and, we won't say anything, but they do play a role in it, but...
yeah, it's interesting, let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and... to me, the movie just seems to rely too much on visuals, and, that's totally fine, but...
The visuals are lovely, but...
Yeah, and I noticed that red is a huge motif in that film.
Like there's red clay.
Yeah, there's red clay, and there's, like, red dresses, red drapes, red curtains, and even the ghosts are red.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's the funny thing, because they were red, I thought there was gonna be, like, some Frankenstein-like substance. Like when they put people in, like, the red clay or something. I don't know.
I don't know either, but... Like, it is very interesting, but I have to say, and I won't spoil anything, and this has nothing to do with Tom Hiddleston himself. He's a handsome man, he's a good actor, but I'm not one of those girls that goes like, oh my god, Tom Hiddleston!
And if you're a fan of Loki, I will say, you finally get to see his ass.
And he does have a nice butt.
Yes, every fangirl's dream has come true when you see that.
I will say... Tom Hiddleston does have a nice butt.
I'll give him that.
Even he agrees.
And also, this is the same actress from Alice in Wonderland, and I was so worried because her performance in that movie was like
She looked like she was in pain or bored.
She was bored. She never showed any emotion in that film, and I must say, her performance is like a step up in this flick.
Like, you can definitely see when she's upset or scared, or... She makes the best scared faces, in my opinion, because she's like, oh, God!
Yeah, and Tom Hiddleston's performance is good in this, too, and...
Like, I was the one sitting here in the theater, I was like, there's gonna be something wrong with him, isn't there? And you're like, oh, I kind of trust him. I don't trust him!
Well... Here's the thing, because it's a mystery, there's gotta be a twist. And my thing was this. I think he does have a hand in this, but I don't think it's gonna be, like, the big twist. Like, I think... Like, yeah, he has a hand in it, but if there's something else.
Right, there's...
Though I will say, his sister is really, really friggin' obvious. Even before, like, the whole conflict starts, like, the way the camera just, like... pans towards her and just, like, stays on her, like when she's playing the piano and she overlooks her shoulder and gives that suspicious look. There's a lot of that.
There should just be a sign that says, she's suspicious. Look at her!
Yeah,
be aware!
The camera just, like, pans, like, across to her, like, almost every scene there is, and it's just too obvious to sit through, and yeah, there's more to it than that, but with Keeping Up Mystery, how does it fare up?
I think it does pretty well. There are some subtlety here, like when I mentioned that when she clutched her stomach, and I'm not going to say what happened, but there is some subtlety where I did say something to you that I thought was happening to her that ended up being what happened to her. And I do appreciate the subtlety there. In terms of the mystery itself, it is very interesting because you wonder, like, what the heck is up with this house? Why are there so many ghosts? Why do they seem to be connected to this house? Things like that.
Yeah, and because they really toned down the horror in this, well, for one, I'm actually glad that they didn't rely too much on jump scares that much in this movie than it probably should, because there are moments when she opens the door and she sees something and there's no music to accompany it. Thank God for that.
My favorite moment is when you see the shadow just casually walking by, just like, oh, don't mind me. I'm sorry, but that scene I couldn't take seriously because it was just so casual. It's like, oh, don't mind me.
It could have been, like I said, it could have been taken, like, for darker measures, but I don't know. I think it was like, I felt like there was, like, no effort for that one, so...
In terms of violence, there are, like, it's not too gory, but the violence is pretty disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
There's one moment where someone, like, grabs someone's head and just, like, bashes on a sink, like, repeatedly, and she covered her eyes during this, so...
I didn't want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, I was a witness to this, so,
He has a higher tolerance of that kind of stuff than I do.
You play Grand Theft Auto. You have no right to complain.
Hey, you don't get to see the people in agonizing pain. You just run them over and go like, bye!
You are never gonna see Saw at this rate. And, yeah, there's stuff like that, but it's not like the goriest thing I've ever seen, but it gets pretty gory. Like, there's one moment where someone gets stabbed in the face. The face, mind you, and, yeah, she covered her eyes at that, too. And,
because he takes the knife out.
Yeah, he slowly takes it out, and it's, like, sickening, crunching noises and stuff like that.
Ew.
And that's... Yeah, it's gory, and as far as mystery goes, it holds up well, but my biggest problem is, I've seen this before, and I think that's becoming his style. Guillermo del Toro, and it's... To me, it's just becoming too repetitive, so I don't really enjoy this much. To me, this movie is just eh.
I mean, for me, like, if you want a good mystery, or semi-good, then go watch it. If you're coming in here expecting a horror, you'll probably be disappointed.
Which was kind of my expectations, because the trailers just played it out that way.
It did, I agree.
Yeah, it was the same effect with Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. It was one of the darkest trailers I've ever seen. Friggin' scary, in my opinion, but again, it's just one big mystery.
It's kind of like The Gallows, how it played it up to be this very, very scary and dark, and honestly, that was probably... But we've discussed
The Gallows is not even... It's lower than subpar compared to this.
Yeah, it's... For me... no.
We don't...
No! Technical difficulty! Oh, gosh!
Apparently we don't piss off the Gallows gods. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. Anywho,
I guess there's some Gallo fans in the car with us right now.
We don't piss off the Gallows. Charlie's upon us. Anyway, so... Yeah, she likes it more than I did.
Well, mostly because I was just like... I guess I wasn't expecting... I'm not too big on horror like you, so it wasn't that big of a disappointment to me that it wasn't a horror. I am kind of grateful that they tried to go for a more mysterious route.
Well, like I said, I'm fine with it being a mystery, but it's just so many things I've seen before, like the ghost trying to tell the hero something, and... the ghosts are not too bad, it's just like the humans that they're involved with is the big problem, and I've seen that so many times, and there's... I wouldn't say creativity, because, like I said, I've just seen so many of the stuff before, there's like minimal creativity, and if you want to get creative with this kind of stuff, you better go all out there, because this stuff has been done numerous times, so I couldn't find myself invested in this, so to me it's eh.
Well, for me, I'm gonna be the positive one here. For me, I think that you would enjoy it. Like, for me, the story is solid. It's not the greatest, but it's solid enough.
It has a lucid 3-act structure.
Yeah, like it's very straightforward with its story. It's not all over the place. It's simple enough to follow.
One thing I am really thankful for, like, I'm seeing this in many horror movies these days and some thrillers. I'm looking at you, Shyamalan, like with so many movies in the past.
What a twist!
maybe the Visit was kind of an exception, but but here's the thing. This movie starts out whimsical.
It really does. It feels like you're just watching like this happy movie.
Thank God for that, because normally in other thrillers it would start out with like everyone just sounding so depressing just for the sake of the fact that it's a horror or thriller movie. And I'm so glad they didn't go with that route, because everyone would just go for the funeral home performances that M. Night Shyamalan does, and everyone just sounds so depressed or something because, well, it's a horror film, so we gotta sound depressed.
It almost seemed like a romance movie. Like, if you cut out all the horror, it would be just a romance between Tom Hiddleston and what's-her-face.
And that was a huge surprise, because, well, thankfully you didn't go that route, because otherwise this would have been a huge, disappointing, boring first act. If it went that way, it'd probably be boring the whole way, but...
yeah, I mean...
One thing I'm thankful for, but the rest of it is just... I don't know. I've seen this stuff so many times, so I just can't... I didn't feel the excitement. Which, of course, once again, it disappointed me because the trailers were just so promising.
Yeah, and I mean...
And, you know, speaking of the gallows, the opening very much reminded me of the gallows when they put, like, a red filter over every single logo.
Are we watching the gallows?
That's exactly what I said. When the movie started, I was like, I think we're watching the gallows again. Because they put a red filter over every single opening logo.
It's like that one time that...
Well, apparently that's what made the gallows popular, so we gotta do that with every movie now. If it's horror, we gotta we gotta put a red filter over it.
Unless it's The Notebook, then it's okay.
Oh, God.
We eventually have to review The Notebook.
I'm gonna have so much fun bashing on that movie.
Same here. I'm sorry.
No. Keep in mind, I hate that movie so much, but, well, that's not what we're here to talk about. Again, getting back to Crimson Peak.
We'll go do that on a special episode, okay?
maybe Valentine's Day, who knows?
Valentine's Day, let's review the worst romantic movie we can think of.
But, okay, back to Crimson Peak. Yeah, it has some disturbing moments, like actual legitimate disturbing moments, like aside from, because, oh, well, it's a horror movie, so it's gotta be disturbing. No, there are actually legitimate disturbing moments, like, that figure you see in the bathtub, and you see, like, this meat cleaver that's, like, hanging out of her head, and it sounds pretty mundane for, like, oh, that's something you've seen in a typical haunted house ride or something, but they do explain what it is later on, and it's kind of chilling of what it turns out to be.
Yeah, it's, like, when you find out more about, you know, the brother and sister, you find out some pretty disturbing facts about them, and you're just like, and once everything's all explained, it's like, oh, that's why, okay.
Yeah, and, of course, there's a twist, and I wouldn't say predictable, because I pointed out some things, like, oh, well, this is gonna happen, or this is gonna happen, and it 50% right.
I remember saying, there's something up here.
Well, that's the thing. Well, what did you expect?
I was just like, no, I remember whispering to him, I'm like, there's something funky going on here.
You don't say. It's not like it's a horror movie or anything. What'd you think this was, romance?
No, I was talking about between the siblings.
Oh, yeah. Well, even then, it's still kind of obvious. They play a role in this. Duh.
Yeah. No, it's just, but you'll see what it is, and you'll probably be like, oh.
And yeah, and the way I do like Tom Hiddleston's performance in this.
Oh, so do I. And like I said, I'm not a huge Tom Hiddleston fangirl. You know,
His performance usually involves smooth talking. Like, it's not really like a sneer, but he's just a smooth talker. In fact,
I'm so pompous and hot.
not in a way where he's like showing off like the Riddler from Batman. Like, I'm so smart.
He
and
would make a good Riddler.
Probably, yeah.
Heck yes!
Yeah.
Please do it, Hollywood.
Many things can go wrong. I'm not saying don't go for it, but be cautious. So.
He has that smooth voice, and he's played Loki. He could play a cunning trickster.
True, and
Got your Riddler.
and yeah, he reminds me of Paul McGann from Doctor Who.
He kind of does.
He has, like I said, it's just that smooth talking, and
I can see why girls do swoon over him.
It's like his performance in Avengers, where his voice just screams douchebag.
But smooth.
I'm so smooth, and I'm gonna take over the world.
Yes.
Vote for Loki.
Vote for Loki.
And so, to me, it's just another mundane movie. It's ish.
I wouldn't say run out and watch it, but
I'm kind of leaning over to the negative side. Like, there's some things to like, some not, so I can't recommend it for much of... Well, if you like mystery, go see it, but it's just many things we've seen before, and...
I think the twist is the most shocking, though, that people don't often talk about.
Well, to be fair, that's the thing with mysteries. Like, you think you got it down, but then the twist happens, and whether you got it or not, you're just like, oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess, and... That was my reaction. What were you like? Did it come close to your predictions?
I'm not sure which mystery you're talking about.
Everything about this movie, like.
Well, I think that was pretty close. I mean, I did say something about, that, and then I did say something about the siblings, and I was right on both counts of that. So.
Yeah, so if you like mysteries and if you like Tom Hiddleston, you want to see his ass, this is your chance. Don't miss out on it.
I'm sure people are going to get the DVD just to pause it right at that moment. Tom Hiddleston, sir, if you're watching, you do have a nice butt. I'm sorry. I not to say it in front of you, Ben, but I'm sorry.
So, yeah, there's that, and yeah, I just think this movie is just mundane. To me, it's kind of boring. It's mundane, and I don't really recommend it. So,
I would say if you want to watch a good mystery, watch it. If you want to save your money and wait until it goes on TV.
Yeah, like I said, she liked it more than I did. So,
it's that Tom Hiddleston, but I'm sorry.
Why not? I mean,
Oscars, throw it at the screen.
Why not? Everyone went to see Avengers for Loki.
That movie deserves an Oscar just for that. But Oscar for the best butt goes to Tom Hiddleston.
I wouldn't be surprised if Avengers fan base increases because Loki is in it, and now that his butt is shown, everyone's going to be demanding him to be in Civil War. Oh, there we go again.
The light!
Dang it. Okay.
And at last I see the light.
I can't wait to bash on The Notebook.
Me too.
That's probably going to be our next, unless, well, there's also Star Wars to look forward to, so...
Yes!
And The Good Dinosaur, so...
There's a lot of really good movies this year.
And you know that internet joke where everyone's just saying, Jurassic World, Terminator, Star Wars? What the hell's going on this year?
Progress. Progress is happening.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, so...
I think movies are finally getting better, guys.
In some respects.
In some respects, yes.
So, that's about it. So, that's Crimson Peak. And,
This is a mixed review, guys.
let me know how Loki's butt is.
I think this is the first time we've ever had a mixed review.
Yep.
Because, like, we were both pretty negative on The Gallows. We were both positive on Jurassic Park and Inside Out. And I'm like, it's kind of good. And you're just like, eh.
So, yeah, that's about it. So, any last words?
Tom Hiddleston's butt.
Shut up.